Hey, what is going on, guys? My name is Slcmof and I am back again with another video, and in today's video I wanted to talk about video games being canon to the DCEU and vice versa. So this is something that I was thinking about, and you kind of have to understand one thing before this commentary begins, or otherwise it won't really make sense to you why I'm making it. And that is that DC and Marvel, they are in a fierce competition with one another, which I think is pretty obvious. But not only that, but DC wants to one-up Marvel, because Marvel is way ahead of the game right now. And DC by no means is worried about this because, of course, their DCEU hasn't even started yet, really, besides Man of Steel, but it really starts here in March 2016. So with that being said, they're by no means worried or think that they have no chance of coming back or whatever because their DCEU hasn't even started, to be fair. A perfect example of how Marvel and DC are in competition with one another is the fact that Daredevil Season 2 will be dropping on, guess what day? March 25th, 2016. And no, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a coincidence, and those that I see on Twitter saying that it is are insane. You are crazy. It is not an accident. It is Marvel saying Batman v Superman comes out on March 25th, 2016. Well, guess what we have? We're going to one-up you, and we're going to release an entire, 10 hours of television rather than just 2.5. So we want you to stay home. We don't want you going to the midnight premiere of Batman v Superman. No. We want you staying home and watching Daredevil because we have a better product. That is exactly what they're doing. It is a ploy. It is intentional, and it is an attempt to kind of fuel this competition between them. It ultimately drives sales. It drives everything. They want the most amount of viewers watching at midnight as they can, and they're so confident in their television show that they think that they can actually draw viewers away from Batman v Superman on March 24th or the night thereof to actually, draw people in to come watch Daredevil instead. And sometimes I think as fans we live in this fantasy land of where, they both get together so well and we love both equally and all this kind of stuff, and it's all garbage because from their perspective, they're trying to win you over, and they're not only trying to win you over, they want you to not buy the other stuff because if, for example, DC, if nobody buys Marvel comics, nobody goes to watch Marvel movies, then they will have a monopoly that is DC in the Marvel or in the comic book era and genre and comic book movies. So they really want the other to fail. And if you don't recognize that, then you're kind of inept to business. I've once heard on Movie Collider Talk where they talk about how they want both to succeed well, and then people will enjoy comic book movies and come to see both. And, people will love Civil War and then they'll come to see Suicide Squad, and it's all garbage. It's not true. It's not real. It's not consistent with actual economics. A majority of what actually sells movies, I've spoken about this before, it is not you and I. I'm recording this commentary and you listening to it. We don't actually determine how much money movies make because we're going to see them regardless. You and I are both going to go see Batman v Superman. We're both going to see Civil War. So they don't care about us. They're not marketing to us. They're marketing to people like my dad and casual viewers that watch 1, maybe 2 movies a year. And in doing so, they want to actually have that viewer. They want them to see Civil War and not Batman v Superman, and DC wants the exact same. So, you have to keep that in mind, and that's a long preface, but you do have to understand that's where I'm approaching this, and you can't live in this fantasy land of, we love both equally. It doesn't exist. They're at fierce competition with one another, and I'm proposing a solution that I think is a way for DC to one-up Marvel, because they are seriously behind. They're a decade behind the MCU. Their television shows are not canon to the DCEU. Not that that's a particular problem, as Zack Snyder has stated. It's great to see, different interpretations of The Flash at the same time, and as somebody noted in Zack Snyder's recent interview, it's very comic booky. Oftentimes you will see a comic book character doing the same thing in the same week in 2 different books and different universes. That's just kind of comic books. So I like that. I like Marvel where everything's canon and continuity. I also like DC where they focus more on the multiverse and not everything is interconnected to that same degree, even though they're starting to do that more with Supergirl and the Flash crossover happening on March 28th. So that is a distinct advantage that Marvel actually has over DC, and that is that the TV shows are connected to the movies. So what Marvel does is they ploy in viewers that hey, you like the DCEU or the MCU, sorry, you like the movies that you see? Well, watch this television show, Daredevil. It's a great television show. It's on, Netflix. We don't care about censorship or anything like that, like those CW shows. They got to limit themselves because it's cable and everything like that. No. We can do whatever we want on our television show, and not only that, but it is connected to the actual movies. That show where you see Daredevil, it happens in the same universe where the Avengers are fighting Ultron. It's the same exact universe. Continuity does help in that sense, and like I said, I don't prefer one over another. I kind of dabble in both, of which I prefer. If I would like the DCEU to kind of be continuity based, everything like that with the television shows. To be honest with you, based off the DC television shows, I would not want them to be canon at all to the movies for obvious reasons, and the fact that you have different actors playing the same characters, it wouldn't make any sense. And please, dear God, don't bring in the multiverse and like there's 2 Flashes. That would be so ridiculously stupid. But think about if we got Jeff Johns to actually come in, these acclaimed comic writers like Paul Dini, who wrote the 2 best narrative Arkham games, at least in my personal opinion, Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. Bring back these comic writers because they actually know how to write a good story, and they can do it. They can write these video games, make a great story that supplements, that expands the DCEU, and adds richness, because ultimately it is going to be a 10-hour game. You know, any game that you're going to make is around 10 hours long narratively. Arkham, you know, Batman Telltale, which by the way, a little supplement, I don't want them to be, you know, canon to the DCEU, because I really want Telltale to do their own thing, but, you know, they're not going to do that anyway. This is just an idea, and DC never asked for my opinion anyway, but here it is. So anyway, guys, this is just what's kind of been rolling around in my head recently. I think this would be a great way to actually kickstart the DCEU. Of course, this would really drive sales as well, since these AAA video games do really well. And that's the way businesses gauge if they should do more or less of something. Sales, if they make a lot of money from it. If they do, then they're going to do more of it. And if they don't, they'll do less. One thing that I will say, if nothing else, even if the games aren't canon, which is perfectly fine, and I will not ride in the streets or anything, it's just an idea that I thought about. If nothing else, I believe that DC should be releasing a new DC-related game every 6 months. This is something I'm very passionate about, and I believe thoroughly, and not just because I have a channel based around DC games, specifically Arkham Knight. This is a way that, again, they can really help build hype for the DCEU. It's something they do much better than Marvel. DC has better video games than Marvel overall. I know in the past, I mean, it's hard really to refute that, even if you're looking at a game such as The Wolf Among Us, which is a DC game as well. So I think it's really hard to actually refute that, and the Arkham series is pretty much the best comic book game series ever as far as I'm concerned. So with that being said, they should be working on that, and we have Batman Telltale coming in 2016, but what about 6 months after that? Are we going to be getting a Warner Brothers Montreal game in late 2016, maybe early 2017? I don't know, but I think it's something they should really be focused on, and I hope that they can hold up to that, because there's no reason that we don't have more than 3 games coming up, besides Batman Telltale and the 2 Warner Brothers Montreal games. They should license even more developers to make even more games, and we can get more obscure games. It doesn't just need to be Batman, it doesn't just need to be Superman. They can do more obscure titles. Do Supergirl, do Batgirl, do Nightwing, do games like that. Don't be scared to, you know, stray away from those kind of lesser known or less popular characters, because I think the DCEU will drive those sales either way, even if it is a lesser known character like Batgirl. And of course, I'm biased because I'd love to see a Batgirl game. But anyway, guys, hope you all have enjoyed this commentary. Let me know what you thought about it in the comment section below. Would you like to see games that are actually canon to the DCEU? Would you not? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. My name's Slcmof, and we'll see you in the next one.